Hey guys, welcome back. I know, wow, 3 weeks since I put up a video, and I'm going to show you some things I've been doing the last few weeks with the weather finally getting warmer and stuff going on. I'm going to show you things that, because my wife's been laid off because of the COVID-19 epidemic going on, I've gotten a honeydew list, and she's helped me a lot with them. But yeah, so you guys will get to see all that. Again, forgive me for not posting anything in the last few weeks. Things have kind of, you know, not only with the honeydew list, I've had some crazy things going on with my doctors and my disability company, insurance company that I paid in for the last 5 years. So neither here nor there. It's just another bump in the road. But yes, I have done some work this week. Got in there with bits and pieces that I could on both kits. So I'm going to share that with you. And guys, thank you for staying around with me. I hope everything's going well in y'all's areas and everything's going great. You are in my prayers. And if you're new to my channel, hit the subscribe button, click on the bell, and you'll know every time I upload a video, which I was trying to get back to regular, but with it being so nice and we had a lot of work to do around here, but I am getting back. Did get a lot of stuff done. You guys will see. I'm not going to take away from it. But, alright guys, well, let me shut up and let's get to the video. Well, happy Monday guys, and welcome, and yes, back on the bench. So, what I'm going to get working on this week so far is, I'm going to get the base done up because, give you a quick hit. So I got I'll just let you see. I got a power in here and in here. And my idea is I'm going to make a base that's a little bigger, and then I'm going to do a little smaller one that I'm actually connect to the model, and the power supply, which is, yeah, fun, so that it can move and come out just like that. So that's that idea. So I need to finish getting, sorry about the phone, getting all these soldered and in place. Then I can start finishing up the base, because I need to get the bigger post and the mirror on before I do anything else, so I can get this all set down and finish working on it, because without that, you know. But I have gotten some more things done. Mail call. I got more soldering tips in, which I desperately needed, and something really fun that I cannot wait to try out with the Sherman and the half track is I went ahead and I bought this Vallejo rust, stain, and streaking set. So it does come with the instruction on how to do it, but I'm going to play around with a couple of spare pieces before I actually go onto the kit. But I love what they do, and if you guys have been watching me, I'm getting really into, there's pretty much, I love Tamiya. I'll use the crap out of Tamiya as long as I can have it. Some things I have to use Model Masters, but been getting away from Model Masters, and Vallejo does for airbrushes, washes, everything. So I'm going to try this, see how it turns out and looks, and you guys can join me on that. But before that, I am going to finish, like I said, getting the base done, and when I get that all set up, I will show you what I did. So, see you guys in a bit. Well, happy Thursday, guys, and I know what you're thinking. Well, the last segment was on a Monday. What's this being a Thursday now? Well, guys, I'm showing you I'm going to show you the projects I'm working on with my wife, since it's finally about 70 degrees. So I didn't do any build the last couple of days. I've been helping her get the stones and getting stuff fixed, and on this there was nothing but an overgrown and dying pine fern hedge, and so we took that out and we did this. And so she's happy, and today I finally get back to building, so I'm going to do that, but I want to show you what the other part we did. And here's the other part we did. My wife likes doing flowers, and last year we had it over by the house, but it got so we couldn't keep up with the weeding on it, so she wanted rocks put there, so I did, and then built this for her. And she helped me. She's great at this. A lot of lifting, a lot of work the last couple of days. So, like I said, I'm looking forward to actually spending some time on the bench and getting back to work. But I thought I'd show you guys. It's, you know, I love to build, but I love being outside too. So don't think I wasn't not building because I didn't want to. I just wanted to show you some of the projects going on. So let's get back to it, guys. Okay, guys, sorry about that. It is Sunday, May 3rd, and yard work was officially completed on Thursday, getting everything set. And here's the garden. It took a while to get clean because it was feral, but it's been planted. My wife wanted to do grids and walkways, so I did that, and then we redid the borders. And like I said, that was all. We were all done planting on Thursday, and then I'll show you what happened on Friday. Stand by. Okay, guys, so what happened Friday is me and my wife were getting a couple errands run, and this is her car, a 2002 Ford Focus, and it was running great, and we're getting on the road, and all of a sudden it started sputtering and nothing, so we pulled over and it died. What ended up happening is the alternator went out, and we had to jump it 4 times just to get it back here. And then, like things like to do, we had to go get the parts and get the correct tools. And we started on it Thursday night, but the thing we had to figure out was, because this is a 4-wheel drive, side-mounted engine, so it's a pain in the butt because the alternator's on the back side of the engine on the bottom. So we ended up having to take this tire, the driveline, the rotor, and take the engine mount down so we could jack the engine up enough to get the alternator out. So it was a pain in the butt. So I said on, you know, that a couple of videos I was ready to get back to the bench, and I was going to get back to the bench on Friday, but this happened. But hey, now back to the bench, guys. Well, guys, it is Monday, and yes, like I said, I was getting back to work, and excuse me, sorry. So I want to give you a little show and tell, and then I'll explain what I did. So this is the base, and everything's ready. I've already put the plane together. I still got a lot of work to do, as you can tell, but everything's wired, so fingers crossed. And there you go, guys. Let me shut the overhead off so you can see. And yes, the wings. Let me see if I can do this for you guys. So yeah, so that's what I've gotten done so far, making up for the lost time doing all the yard work. So give me a second and I'll show you what I did, guys. Alright, guys, so here's the base that I wanted to do for this project, for this build, well, for the person who wanted me to build it. So I got some mirror I like. I've got it ground down to fit the board, and this was the first time I ever actually had to drill through glass or mirror, and I had the right piece, but it started to fracture around the hole. So if you guys got any good tips on how to drill through mirrors, I'd appreciate it, because this is the bit I have, and it's used for drilling out glass or mirrors, but like I said, it flicked. But so what I did is, the base you saw before was just this piece here, and it wasn't tall enough. Sorry, it wasn't tall enough after I started fitting everything. So what I did, so I added pieces to the bottom and completely enclosed it. And yes, there has to be some work. Like I said, there's some glue that I got to take care of, but I'll explain that. But I got that glued and wired, and I got the switch, which I think will very go for this the guy, and just like that. So I've already mounted and leveled the post, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape off the mirror and then outline this, and I'm going to put some epoxy sculpt around it to, one, cover up the damage I did with drilling the hole, which is, I'm glad it was just this piece, but then to cover up the epoxy that I did there. And then I am going to completely either use epoxy sculpt or stuff that I use for diorama, and I'll decide that, and get this all nice and smooth and leveled and get rid of the seams. And then I'm going to paint it blue and silver, and then I'm going to make the post silver. So there's that. Now let me get this put down real quick, and we'll go here. So, let me do this, guys. I actually, yes, I do have a hole in my build station, so I can do that. So, with the plane, you're going to find some weird things with this stuff. Most of the time, they're usually really good, but a lot of these kits, you got to do a lot of work. So, let's go with this first. So, I got everything wired up. And as you can see, where I set the board, I'd like to have it a little more center, but because of I needed to get the board in before I started running everything, I didn't get it quite where I wanted to. And then, yes, I have a lot of seam work to do. But the other thing I did, and I've been wanting to do a couple of different things for a while, is, as you can tell, I have the insert to go into the power receptacle, and then that's going to go down in the pipe. So this is not going to be seen, but this way, if he needs to move it or do anything with it, he can just pop it out, move it, and then slide it back in. Now, I do have some questions with this, with the cockpit. It fits pretty well, but I'm going to have to do some looking when I put the canopy on before I finally go through and do some of the painting, because it's weird. One side fits good, and this side was flush, and then when I put everything together, it just, yeah, it went off a little bit. So I might have to work with that just a little bit. We'll see. But yeah, that's where we're at. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the tape off, and then I'm going to start working on these seam lines and getting the canopy taped off and ready to go. And I'll show you how I do that, guys. But yeah, so there is that. And the next step, as you can see, is I'm getting ready to also put decals to the other models. So I know I haven't built for a couple of weeks, done anything for a couple of weeks because of the projects I need to do around home. But hey, here you go, guys. And yes, if you ever, because most times when I do put a post in, I glue it to the base and wait till I'm done painting and everything, and then glue it into the model. And I mean, I really do like this, and I hope this really does work. So it's working right now, so yay. But I'll let you guys know how it keeps going, because now I got to start working on, I got to clean up some of the, because I epoxied it in, I got to clean up some of the dribbles and start getting these seams worked out and getting these getting the landing gears in here and getting the doors and everything fit and snug and looking good here. Getting all this done, so we'll get there. But I'm going to get back to work, guys, and when I start doing more and wanted to show you what's going on and teach you, I will come back. But right now I'm going to work on getting tape off and getting some decals on, and I'll show you that when I get done, guys. See you in a bit. Well, good Tuesday morning, and yes, I am actually doing another day on the bench. I know, so shocking, right? No. So a thing I did do is I added the engines, because I got to do seam work there too. And what I started doing, and you'll find this with some manufacturers, the seam lines, let's see if I can zoom it in here for you real quick. There we go. Some of these seam lines will match up perfectly, and then there's other companies where it's like, oh my god, I put it together right, but why does one sit higher than the other? So one of the things before you start doing putty work, which I'm getting close to getting ready to do, is you might want to do a little sanding down on the seam and try to get them down smooth and almost level with each other, and that will help in your seam work down the line. But yes, while I love building no matter what company, usually there are some companies that just boggle my mind is why when they tested it that they just let that seam line be uneven. So with that, guys, I'm going to continue to get this ready to go. I'm going to get putty done, and when I do come back, I will show you on the Sherman what's coming up. So let me get back on this, guys, and I'll see you in a bit. Alright, guys, well, now we're on to decaling. I've gotten everything puttied and ready and letting it dry now on the A10, but if you guys are just following me, I'll show you how I do decals real quick and what's going on. So a lot of you probably wondering, you know, why I'm doing the decals now when I still have a lot of painting winter effect, rust, grease, all that. Well, one of the reasons I'm doing it now with the decals, because of the stuff I'm going to do with this, like I said, adding the debris or the dirt and the grime and the snow and all that, is I want the decals already to be done and set, because I want them to be part of that. I want them to set out from the kit. I want them to be part of the kit. So, a couple of things I do. One, you just saw me trimming, and I'm going to start with this decal, and I have the instructions sitting right out in front of me. And there's a couple things you can do to help make sure you do it right. So, one, I'm putting, and if I get in the way, I'm sorry guys, I'm putting the turret on, getting it centered up, because the star is right here and down and center. So, I got some water, I got a little dish soap in it to help loosen it up, and as you can see, I'm just wetting that down. So I'm going to put the decal in, give it a, and to me is a really good, another thing you should think about getting, guys, is this right here. It's Solvuset. What this does is it gets the decal to get down into the details of the model. So if you got panel lines, or you got other things, and like this, to me it does a really good job, because this looks like pounded metal, put together, but you get that little bits of imperfection, and that will help the decal set. So this is not glued at all yet, because I still have to put the tracks and get some other things done before I even put this thing together. But I just got it together to help me get the decals on, because I want to get them done. And like I said, the other thing is I'm going to also do it on the half track. So maybe today will be a good decal day. But let it soak for a good couple of minutes. Some companies you don't even have to let them soak for 30 seconds. Others you have to let them seem like they seem to soak forever. And I use my tweezers or my pickups, and I put it on a piece of paper towel, and I get all that excess water off, get it down, get it pat, and then I just do that. Okay, so awesome. So now we're going to put it on there. Okay, and I'm going to look and make sure it looks right. There we go. Maybe. Oh. And that's why you want to also put a little bit of water on, is to be able to play with this thing. So now I'll move the turret out of the way, and I like Q-tips to help push the air out. And yeah, when you go to push the air out, you will move the decal a little bit. That's okay, because that happens. So there we go, and there, it's back in place. Looks good. And when you got big decals like this, it's okay to go ahead and do Solvuset. But if you got a bunch of decals, little decals on one side, and if you saw some of my videos like with the NX01 and then the planes, sometimes you want to get a bunch of those decals down first, and then that way you can apply Solvuset, because if you're trying to work and you've already applied Solvuset, what this does is it starts breaking down the decal and getting it to adhere. So give me a second here, guys. Let me get the turret off, and there we go. Now I'm just going to let that sit and dry. I mean, I still have decals to put over here, but the great thing is I can do this and get to work with it. So that's how you do a decal, guys, and that's how you let it set. Now, the big thing, after you put the Solvuset, do not touch it, do not mess with it, because like I said, it starts to break it down, and if you get your hand on it, or you get anything near it, not even your hand, but like tweezers or Q-tips or something, you'll mess it up. So, good takeaway. Once you put Solvuset on, and if you feel comfortable, put it away. So like, I'll put these all on, these decals all on, and then I'll put the Solvuset once I get it all done. Or I'll do this side, because they're on the sides, and I want to be able to do that so I can lay them perfect. And then I'll put the Solvuset on and let it dry. So with that, guys, I'm going to keep doing decals, and I'll see you in a bit. Well, happy Wednesday morning, guys, and I'm still the putty's dried on the A10, but I'm gonna get some other things done before I get into that because that's gonna take a while to get sanded down and make it look nice. So what I did also yesterday, as the putty was drying, I went ahead and used epoxy sculpt, and this stuff is really amazing. And I will be showing you the. I think I did. If I didn't, I'm sorry, but I'll show you a great thing. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to use what's called Sculpt-A-Mold, and I'm going to take care of the sides, get them all nice and even, and that way we don't have these little areas. So what I use is called Sculpt-A-Mold. It's a modeling compound. It's pretty easy to deal with. Sorry. Here. It's pretty easy to deal with. Doesn't really take a whole lot. Sorry about the phone. And I'm going to get it mixed up and I'll show you what it looks like. So give me a second, guys. I'll be right back. Alright, guys. Well, here we are. So what I did is I mixed that powder form, and then there is instructions on it and how to mix and get this, but I like this consistency, and I would follow the instructions on it till you get used to working with this stuff and go from there. So sorry about the phone, guys. So basically all we're gonna do, and this might, yeah, there we go, is I'm just gonna get it put on here. Try to get it put on here, and you can use water to help, and if it goes over where you tape, that's okay, because you can sand it and deal with it. But right now I'm just trying to get a good layer on there, and then I'll sand it down and smooth this out even more. But yeah, this stuff is messy, but it is amazing to work with. So, and then just like that, guys. And then as you go on, you're probably doing a base like I'm doing. I can only do so much, and then I got to let it dry and go from there. You normally, when I do this, I use this for my dioramas, and I will show you that when I start on the World War II one, because this helps get things down to ground and make the ground uneven and look good and that kind of thing. But the great thing about this stuff is it is amazing, like I said. So yeah, and like I said, when this does dry, it dries really nice and hard, and it's very, very easily sandable. And then I just wet my finger and just bring it back around, make sure everything looks nice and level. And you might not be able to do it while it's wet, you know, when it's like this, get it as level as you want. But like I said, that again, that's where sanding and all that fun jazz comes down. And I can get my leveler out and make sure everything looks good and square, because this stuff can be a pain in the butt to work with sometimes. That's why you always have to have a little bit of water to work with this. Keeps your fingers wet and allows you to smooth this out and work it like I'm doing right here. Yeah, sorry guys, it's hard to keep this in camera, but yeah, so I'm gonna keep doing this, and when I get it all done here in a couple hours or so, I will show you what it looks like while it dries, and then we'll go to working on the sanding on it. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Bye. Well, happy Friday afternoon, guys. I know it's been a couple of days, but certain things came up, and forgive the compressor, certain things came up that I had to get taken care of. But show you what I got done. So after the base is dried, what you want to do, if you want to smooth it out, I will suggest going with the putty, the Bondo that I use. You can help. What you want to do is what you want to do is get it sanded down as much as you can, and then use that Bondo, and then to help fill in the gaps and help level it out. When I was sanding it and I got thinking about it, I'm actually going to do something different, and I'm going to show you that, guys. I'm going to actually make, with what I did here with the sculpt I did, I'm going to actually make this a rock base, and I'll show you how to do that. So, I'm going to start on one side, and as you could tell, I primered this, and I'm sorry I can't put it up where you guys can see it, but I've already mixed in some black paint, and basically all I'm doing, turning the compressor back on so you guys can't hear, but basically all you want to do is, you don't want to go heavy, but you know, just kind of cover the whole thing, a little bit of black, just help create shadow. And like if you got deeper craters like I do right here, yeah, I might go a little bit heavier. And this is a start that I'm going to make for the rock. So yeah, so all I'm doing is just adding a little appreciating like I like to do. You guys know that. So, and I'm going to go ahead and go around it with the rest of the black, and then I'll come back and I'll show you the next stage. Guys, well, I got all the appreciating done, so now I'm going to go with the primary rock color I'm going to use, and I'll show you the other techniques. For this, I'm going to actually, because I'm going to do some a little bit more darkers, and then I'm going to do some other tones, but I want to go with sky gray. And sky gray really does go well with pre-shading, as I've learned. A lot of things do. But, you know, get your brush loaded, get it real good and mixed, test it out, and then, unlike the model kits that I do, I'm not going to go real crazy with the paint. I'm going to start highlighting, you know, and getting that little bit of that dark done. I'm not going really crazy with it. As you can tell, I'm not doing big feats, but I'm just doing a little bit to cover it up. To cover up that pre-shading I did. Yeah. So it is darker on some areas, lighter on some areas. Kind of like a rock base would be. So there we go, guys. It's just, you know, you don't have to really go deep color solid with it. You know, just help highlight it, help break down the pre-shading you did, but don't go real crazy with it either. You know, you don't want it to be completely solid gray. You just a nice in there, just where it hits the highlights and breaks that gray or that pre-shading. And as you can tell, sometimes I get my brush a little closer and then I'll get it away and then put it a little closer again. Don't worry, this is not going to be on the switch there. It's not going to be black. It just gives me a little coat, helps me with doing the pre-shading that I did. And then once all this is done for the rock, then I'll mask it off so I can just take care of the switch. Just like that, guys. So I'm going to keep going on this and come back. I'll show you the next step I do. Alright, see you in a bit. Alright, guys. So what I'm doing now, this is pretty well set and dried. Especially with an airbrush, you know, you don't have to wait as long as you do with the hand brush sometimes. So what I'm doing now is I'm dry brushing some more gray in, and I went with a dark sea gray. Get you a flat brush, and then you want to have a paper towel. Dip your brush in and then brush it on the paper towel till most of the paint comes off. And then just so lightly. Just go and let it pick up the highlights of certain areas, you know. Don't go crazy. You know, if it's not doing enough, you can dab. I'd still say dab your brush, but you don't have to completely get it to that dry brush stage, so you can get a little bit more color in there if you want. But yeah, so this is all I'm doing now, and what this is going to do is it's going to help give it a little more life, give it a little different color. And like I said, you don't have to go crazy, and especially with this I guess I really just want to call it more of a really increased paper mache, but it is paper, so even though it is good and dry, you're still going to want to be careful not to press too hard on it, because some of this will flake off and you'll start getting those white spots. And if you do, what I would suggest, and what I usually do, is I just kind of dip my brush in and touch those up with a little bit more of the darker gray. So just like that, and then, you know, just keep going on. And you don't want to put, like I said, a lot of pressure on it. You just want the paint to lightly go on. You don't want to change the color. You want to change it subtly. So just very lightly, like what I'm doing right there. And then, yep, you flake off a little bit and just go ahead and touch it up again with a little bit more of a paint. Because even when dry brushing this, it gets really crazy, guys. I didn't put any clear coat on. I don't do that until I'm fully done with what I'm wanting. Everything looks fine, everything's dried and ready to go. Then I'll put a clear coat, and then what I'll do is I do that clear coat, and then I'll go back in with a wash. Black or darker gray or whatever you want, a little bit of brown, a little bit of white. You can go back in with it. But I have one more thing I got to do to dry brush after I get this layer done, and I will show you guys. So I'm going to finish this up, and by then, when we come back, I'll show you my last thing of dry brushing I do to make a rock face. Alright, see you in a bit. Alright, so for the last thing on dry brushing I do for a rock face, if I'm building a rock face like I am now, I get my T.B.I flat white, and I got the brush clean, and then again I'm just going to dab, and then instead of almost going all over it, you go into where the stuff was recessed, that had a little bit more of a recess to it, or a little bit more of an edge, like just these spots, to highlight them. And that's about it, guys. I don't go over the whole thing. I just pick some areas that I really want to highlight, put a bit more of an edge. So like I said, the recesses where the rock, you know, where it started to make a hole or it's wore or whatever, a little bit of a cave. And then again, I'm not brushing hard, I'm just lightly putting it in there, and that's it. Like I said, I'm not going crazy with it. I just want to highlight certain areas. And then, you know, if it's like, oh my god, I got too much, just really dry the brush down again and come back through. And don't worry, if you think you got too much, the last step I do on making these is, like I said, I put a wash on them. So that helps hide, like, oh my god, I went crazy on the white. And that can help hide when you do your wash. So that's about it, guys. So as you can see, I'm just touching it up. I'm not going crazy again. I just want to highlight certain areas. And like I said, sometimes if it does get a little bit white, it's okay. Sometimes rocks are that way. But one thing I forgot to say is when you dry brush, try to go what feels natural to the rock, either straight down or this way, or left to right, or right to left, or up and down. So you keep a consistent dry wash going on. So it looks natural. And does something like that. Again, like I said, with this last one, I'm just doing the highlights. I just want to highlight certain areas and not going crazy. So, alright guys, I'm going to finish this up, let it dry, and then I'm going to get a nice gloss clear coat on it so I can do the very, very last thing. But with that guys, I will show you that next step, that last step next week, because it's going to take a while for the gloss to dry, and I want to get this up since it's been so long since I've done a video with everything going on. So with that, I wish you guys to have a happy and great weekend and have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next week on the bench. Bye guys.